This was probably the least intelligent moment of my entire life. Unintentionally getting high for 3 consecutive days. This happened back when I lived with roommates. I had one roommate that would always buy those storage jars to put his food into. Unknowing to me, he had a jar of very special gummy bears that would sit on the kitchen counter in full view from anywhere in the living room. These special gummy bears, due to the jars he would put them in, were completely unmarked and proceeded to make me become an unknowing victim to their powers for the next 3 days. So I woke up at 5 a.m. like the champion beast trailblazer I am. I got my pre-workout and went out to drink it in the living room. This was when I first laid eyes on the gummy bear jar. I thought one little bear wouldn't hurt, so I eat it, drink the pre-workout, and drive to the gym. A little bit into my workout, I'm starting to feel sloshed. Damn, the pre-workout really hitting today. Sheesh, I feel like Charizard. But then it starts to get worse. I'm doing these curls like 1, 2, 4, 2, 3, 6. I just can't count correctly. My mind is all scattered. I started to realize something was really off when I got on the treadmill and ran 3 miles without feeling a shred of fatigue. I was just in a mental trance the entire time I ran. I go into the locker room, and while I sit here finally with a moment to myself, I realize I probably should not drive myself home. I had to wake up the boy Roman to pick me up and also bring someone else to take my car back because I felt crazy. He pulls up with Cameron and the operation is followed through. Are you alright, man? Yeah, I just feel different, but not bad. We get home and I've got a Zoom class to attend in about an hour. As I'm walking to my room, I pass the gummy bears and eat another one. While I wait for my class, I remember just sitting in my chair staring at my PC doing nothing like a zombie. I was trying to mentally will myself into being functional for this class, but since I ate the other gummy bear as I entered my room, it just got worse. I sat in this class just staring at myself in this little Zoom camera window. The teacher even called on me at one point, but I just kept staring. I didn't say a word. It may have been from me being so high I couldn't process what was happening, but there was not a word spoken from me. I woke up this day pretty tired from the high of yesterday, but I still hadn't put 2 and 2 together and realized the bears were edibles. I had an in-person class today to attend, so I left for that pretty early and again ate a gummy on my way out. The gummy hit as I was walking to class and I was like, God damn it, not again, what's happening to me? I keep walking to class because God picks his hardest fights for his strongest soldiers, until I realize I have no idea where I'm at. A few wrong turns had been made without me realizing it, and now I gotta figure out how to get back. I probably walk around these neighborhoods for like 30 minutes just trying to find my way back on track to get to class. But then I remember, oh yeah, I got a phone, I can use this. So I maps my way back to campus, but I had not made the calculations required to know by the time I got there, the class would be over. I walk into the lecture room that would be my class, and there's a whole different teacher in class going on that I attend thinking, nah, this has got to be the same class. I bet this is just a substitute. The class ends and I'm still oblivious to the fact that that was not the lecture I was meant to be in. An email pops up on my phone about my absence and I remember replying to the email just saying not true and then walking all the way home. I had homework to do, but as I sat down to do it, I was like, yo, the teacher did not teach us this today. So I just played Elden Ring for the next 8 hours of the day. All this weed I had been consuming kind of messed up my sleep schedule because I woke up this day a good amount later than usual. So when I walked into the living room, my roommates were all awake and out there. I was like, guys, that thing keeps happening to me. I think I gotta go to the doctors today. Something's just not right with my body or something. I reach in and eat another gummy while I'm out here, but this time in full view of all my roommates. Roman's like, bro, you're really gonna eat an edible this early in the day? And just like that, all of the stars aligned in my head. I had been drugging myself on these gummy bears unintentionally for the past 3 days. So you're telling me that those are edibles. I've been eating those every single day recently. Then everyone just erupts to clown on me. These dudes couldn't act right. They're like, oh my fucking god, this dude's a dumbass. So I run into my room in tears and listen to Heartless by Kanye West. I hate my friends. Alright, that's the story. You know the drill. Bye. Here's a big one. You people have wanted this. My first time getting high, as it goes for most people, was a crazy experience. Now, I was at my friend Roderick's house. He's a classic guy. He's in just about every story that I tell at this point. Roderick's house was not like any other house. He lives in luxury. A luxury that a poor, under the poverty line boy like me will flip his shit when he sees. I mean, he's got a piano as you walk into his house. He's got a projector as a TV in his living room. This is the shit you see LA YouTubers live in. He lives in the Incredibles mansion. So Roderick was the weed expert that was going to show me his ways, and I was his apprentice. And this wasn't just my first time smoking weed. I should mention it was also my friend Roman's. The three of us were all sleeping over together this night inside Roderick's nice-ass house. Roderick was the real homie this night because he said, we can't just smoke a wax pen on both of your guys' first time. We gotta get our hands on the real stuff. What we had to do first was acquire the weed because we didn't have anything at this point. So we were going through the process of asking everyone that we knew on Snapchat if they knew somebody that sells weed until we finally landed on one guy. We pull up to his place and it's not scary at all, but this is my first drug deal. I'm anxious in my mind. What if this dude's got a gun? What if he kills us in cold blood? But then this dude comes out of his house with these big ass goggle glasses. He looked like a real dork. This motherfucker was a certified bozo. We could have given this dude a wedgie for the weed. Once we drove off with the weed, we all just burst out laughing because we were expecting the exact opposite of this guy. We had acquired our first weed. Roman and I were just marveling at its beauty. We felt the weed, we smelt the weed, but most importantly, we wanted to smoke the weed. Before we stopped back at Roderick's, we drove to the gas station and he was like, I'll be back in a minute. This won't take long. He comes back with a bottle of Sprite, a pack of gum, a pencil, and a straw. Yo, what is this all for, bro? You'll see, bro. You will see. So we drive back to Roderick's place, run to his bedroom, and assemble all of our stuff. Roman and I just sit back while Roderick works his magic. He drinks the whole Sprite bottle, takes a gum wrapper, and wraps it over the top. He pokes some holes in the wrapper, and then he stabs the side of the bottle and sticks a straw in. And just like that, we had our own homemade bong made. It was a pretty jank way to smoke weed, and it didn't work all that effectively, but we had to make do with what we had. We were on limited resources. So we smoked out the Sprite bottle. And I don't know what was in this weed, but it affected Roman and I in a way weed has never before since then. In my going for a walk on mushrooms video, I mentioned how the mushrooms made my vision like in Minecraft, how your FOV can increase. In my experience, that's pretty usual for mushrooms, but this was the one and only time that I've had this effect solely from weed. And it wasn't just me. Roman had the same experience with his vision. It was so weird. I don't know what was in this goddamn weed, but it had us looking at things crazy. I was so goddamn giggly too that I just couldn't get enough of these guys. I laughed at everything. It didn't stop. After you smoke a good amount of times, I feel like the giggles eventually just go away. But the first time I had the laughs. Then the fabled munchies kicked in and we had no remorse for the kitchen. We started tearing through everything like savages. There was a fruit bowl in the middle of the kitchen, so I went, don't mind if I do, and wiggled my little fingers. I picked out an apple and there was a fly on the apple, and I don't know why, but this fly scared me. I mean, I don't fuck with bugs. So I threw the apple, I projectile tossed it across the living room, and it hit right into a framed painting and shattered the glass. I don't feel good about this even today, but luckily the painting itself wasn't damaged and his parents were not home at the time. It was fucking loud. They would have known what happened. So we started to panic, but thankfully Roderick is the real homie because he vacuumed up the glass for us. Lord knows, neither of our asses could have functioned a vacuum in our current state. And by this time, I started fucking up the Pop-Tarts, and I just forgot about what happened. I wasn't joking when I said we were savages. We were on a real ruffian shit. Roman went back to the room first with his snacks, and as I followed behind him, I entered the room to see that he was unclothed. He was only wearing his undies. He was sitting on Roderick's bed, eating a family bag of chips and watching YouTube videos. I feel like it's almost a universal experience where people smoke weed for the first time and search videos to watch while high on YouTube. And the same videos always just come up too. I know that you have seen this cartoon before. This video had us mesmerized. It was beautiful. We went on a YouTube binge for like over an hour or so, and I couldn't tell you how it happened, but we eventually ended up on Diary of a Wimpy Kid YouTube. We were just enjoying some classics like Greg Heffley is a Sociopath. After we got bored of YouTube, we put on some lo-fi beats, and Roderick had this light projector that put stars all over the walls, and we fell into a slumber. I was paranoid the following week or so because I thought his parents would have noticed the painting frame that I broke, but they never really did. Because of me, there's a painting with no glass in his house, and to this day, nobody has really noticed it at all. So that was the story of the first time I smoked weed. Okay, bye-bye. At one point, we've all consumed more substances than we can take and lost some sort of bodily function. Whether that's the loss of literal control over your body or the loss of your mind, so you just act on all of your primal monkey thoughts, either way, something is lost. So even if this story is the highest I've ever been, if you've watched me for long enough, you'll know that the only thing that I lose is my shame. I have an ability to hard body substances without ever dropping. So at least originally, this night was going to be planned as a mushroom trip between me, Roman, Adam, and Roderick. And I'll just skip the scene setting because I know you just want to see the drugs. So me and Roman pick up 6 grams of shrooms, stop by the Holy Land for snacks, arrive at Adam's luxurious estate, and get inside to prepare for the Ninja content farm. Also, Cameron was there too, so let's not forget about him. Round of applause for Cameron, although he was going to be sober and exclusively doing homework on his MacBook this night. So you got the stuff, my brethren? Yeah, bro, I got it right here. Let's just bust this bad boy open. We got gypped, and the plug only gave us 4 grams. So the 4 of us ended up only eating 1 each. Right after eating these mushrooms, Adam, Roderick, and Roman ran off to probably smoke, but me, I'm more reserved than that. I made the respectable decision to stay back and help Cameron with his homework. And it wasn't because I like him or anything. So me and him bust through a good chunk of these questions until these words start to become a little hard to read. And these mushrooms are making my belly feel a little queasy. Those 3 goons that left before bust through the door and instantly and simultaneously start explaining how the mushrooms feel to Cameron for some reason. It's really cool, bro. It makes me feel really cool. Yeah, it's awesome, bro. It feels superfluously awesome. It makes me feel alive. It makes me want to take someone's life. In between my upset tummy and the juxtaposition from solo Cameron time, it felt like I got punched. Boys, I want to do homework right now. Frick you, bro. Fuck off, bro. What are you talking about? I was being bullied. You know what? I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Oh my god. Despite us all having just 1 gram each, they were enough. These were some strong guys. As I had that moment to myself and overcame the queasy, I left the bathroom and everyone was gone. Although, I heard faint music from the porch. As I walked out, I see these 4 are smoking a big dog style cigar in the snow outside, and Cameron was making beats in Logic Pro. Ooh, there's the big homework, baby. What'd you do in the bathroom, bro? Put a diaper on? Did you put a diaper on in the bathroom? Fug homework, bro. Check this out. This was my snapping point. My friends were relentlessly bullying me, and I had to do something now to redeem the great Ninja name I was known for. Give me that cigar, boys. Check this out. Damn, bro, you're not supposed to inhale it. This didn't exactly hit the way I thought it would, but in this moment, a shining opportunity presented itself. Who wants weed, boys? So all of us, minus Cameron, scurry our little feet downstairs into the garage and hop in Adam's classic weed Porsche. Adam pulls out the big dog bong, and I knew this was the time. This was the moment I would fully redeem my stained legacy and go down a legend. I got handed the bong first, and as I held it, all my memories flashed through me like visions. When Roderick called me a homework baby, when Roman said I wore diapers, it would all be sanctified in this moment. I lit up, and as I'm sucking on this bong, I don't let go. I take the biggest bong rip of my life until my lung capacity can't take a single more milliliter of smoke. As I exhaled, the entire car is filled with smoke, and I'm coughing like Walter White. This shit hearted. Afterward, I just lay down in the back of the car while my body recovered. The bong was passed around a few rotations, but I couldn't take any more, so I just waited until we all finally got out. And once I stood up, I realized how high I was. So as we all stumble back to the bedroom, I go up to Cameron and I ask him, "Bro, let me see the laptop, bro." I had a golden joke cooking. I sit down with Roman in an attempt to open Google Images, search for Patrick Bateman, and my joke was gonna be that I said that was Cameron doing his homework. But I only got to search Patrick in the search bar before I hit enter, which brought up Patrick's star, which had this image from an Amazon link to a Funko Pop that the two of us found a lot funnier than the original joke would have been. But then I took it further by clicking on the image, bringing me to Amazon where I bought it. I bought the Funko from Cameron's laptop on his account with his card and shipped it to his parents' house. I was on fire. I was in my element here. Then Adam brings out the vodka and I'm chugging that thing like a Division I football player. Then Adam brings out the canned wine and I'm chugging those things like a Division I football player. I had completed the holy trinity of substances: earth, water, fire, but I was missing air. And I don't normally do this, but I start ripping Roderick's vape. And with all these substances combined into me, I was just like Avatar Aang. I guess my mind was still on SpongeBob because I really wanted Cameron to play the outro song from SpongeBob on his MacBook. But the video Cameron brought up wasn't just the SpongeBob outro. It was, I put the SpongeBob outro over the end of humanity. And as soon as this video came up, I had another golden bit to come to me. One that would even top the Funko Pop one. Cameron, hold your laptop up so that everyone can see. Boys, this video is something I've worked very hard on over the past few years, and I'm so happy to finally have it come to fruition. You didn't make that, bro. That's a YouTube video. They want you to believe that. But let me continue. As you know, my YouTube channel has grown at an extremely fast rate recently, and I wanted to celebrate the monumental achievement of 200,000 subscribers with a celebration that's fitting. So I've planted 200,000 bombs across New York City, and what you're seeing now is live drone footage broadcasted from my channel. But it's not just New York. The more subscribers I get, the more bombs I plant, until even we are engulfed by fire and explosion. It's just my way of saying thank you for all of the support I've received thus far. As you can imagine, that bit killed it. I could confidently say that my name was saved from the disaster of earlier that night. I walked out of the room and into Adam's library, basking in glory. Like I said, he has a luxurious estate. He has a library. And still vaping, I sit on his oversized reading throne until I passed out for the night. Okay, that's the story. Subscribe. Bye. I hate to say it, but at this point, Gen Z is a bunch of old heads. Pretty soon here, we're gonna be sleeping in rocking chairs on some 65+ activity. I'm gonna be recording scripts with my dentures falling out. We might even start complaining at Whole Foods. But while it's pretty scary to turn into a certified geezer, when you consider what Gen Alpha's becoming, I think there's fatter fish to fry here. Every passing day feels like new information drops on Gen Alpha's disintegrating mind. I don't know about you, but if I was born and raised on YouTube Shorts, my brain would be Dusty Depot, my face would be Greasy Grove, and I'd smell like Moisty Meyer. Gen Alpha's daily activity currently involves maxing out their parents' credit cards on Roblox and then addressing them by their first names. If I pulled something like that at the ripe age of 8, I'd have been subjugated to unspeakable tortures. Let's say I were to make a video about the types of of kids in Gen Alpha. We'd have the skibbity soldier, the iPad addict, the illiterate individual, and the cooked Christopher. To put it in perspective, when I was a kid, I ran off Capri Suns and Uncle Grandpa. Did I turn out well? No. But with Gen Alpha being comprised of Cocomelon AI YouTube Kids content and Guava Ice Elf bars, I can't imagine it's an upgrade. You see, pregnant women are like blenders. You put food into them for 9 months until they output a final result. However, the nutrition options for Gen Alpha babies are not looking good. Eat 1 Caniac combo and that's another Aiden Ross viewer for the world. Eat 2 combos and that's a lifelong Neon sub. And personally, if I walked in on my son watching a kick streamer, I'd abandon him in the Sahara Desert. Because the content Gen Alpha is consuming has got to be the most brain-numbing, ice-dwelling slop I've ever seen. Let's take out the big one first, Skibbity Toilet. This dominates Gen Alpha. People are calling it Gen Alpha's first meme. So you're probably expecting me to dog on Skibbity Toilet, right? Well, actually, I like Skibbity Toilet. I watched the whole series and I acquired a fine taste for its intricate lore and world building. Certifiably, I fuck with the toilets heavy. I'm talking about the content where the blue guy gets fat as fuck and drowns to death. Putting your kids on TikTok with the iPad mini and subjecting them to 10 hours of TikTok per day has gotta be a low-level lobotomy. Gen Alpha babies have been cooked in the monkey baby bonbon and lanky box oven for their whole life. And now that they're older, the repercussions are starting to show themselves. Because these kids can't read. Gen Alpha kids cannot read words. They look at books and see Minecraft rune enchantments in the letters. This is what happens when people who play Valorant start to have kids. The amount of reports from teachers saying that they can't get their students to read or listen is crazy. I can't blame those kids though. The Skibbity syndrome does hit pretty hard. But as a professional, I have a solution for the problem. Classrooms should have all students wear Apple Vision Pros and augment Minecraft parkour on the whiteboard to help them focus. That'd be sick. And it'd double to help with the kids' abhorrent iPad addiction. Gen Alpha loves their iPads. It turns out that when you give kids the iPad, they want to keep the iPad. So now that those iPad kids are inevitably getting dropped off at daycare, iPad-less with no money and some $8 shoes, they've started to snap. And I don't imagine you want to be caught as the kid with the iPad at Gen Alpha daycare. These kids will be eyeing you down like you pulled up to O-Block with $10,000 in an open briefcase while wearing a cartoonish propeller hat. The only thing that helped them is some clothes from TakeYourTime.store. Sorry, that wasn't a very clever plug. But also, Gen Alpha's clearly been dealt a bad hand. They're starting off like an Elden Ring strength build with no intelligence or strength. But once you start adding artificial intelligence into the mix, you start to realize these kids are done for. Between me and you, I was a terminal cheater in school. I had the Quizlet Chegg Mathway subscription combo. I wasn't doing squat back in school. But at least I had to thank for myself when it came to cheating. AI just does everything for you. Implant these kids with an Elon Musk Neuralink and they'll become the Quizlet subscription. There's not going to be a single thought required for Gen Alpha to make. But long term, I can't lie, I'm morbidly curious how these kids will turn out. Imagine once Gen Alpha is old enough to be in high school and have jobs. This generation's gonna be like a human experiment to observe. If we're being honest with ourselves, I can't even hold a regular job at McDonald's. It's too hard for me. I can't imagine the TikTok-pilled AI kids holding these jobs either. It's really about to be a dystopia. I think the only occupation Gen Alpha has over us is working the front lines in the military. All that Skibbity toilet consumption probably has them primed for international warfare. But I've been dogging Gen Alpha for a while now. But something I'm truly afraid of is that I'm just like them. I mean, I do like Skibbity Toilet, but when you look at the exhibit of content we used to watch at Gen Alpha's current age, things don't look good for us. Back in the day, these MLG videos used to go hard, but looking back, I'd imagine most adults would assume I'm doomed for liking those. MLG videos are so bad nowadays, but I couldn't see it at the time. If you ever watched those Shrek compilation videos, those are pretty much the same as Skibbity Toilet too. But even more brain rot is YouTube poop. I got this video on Instagram Reels a couple days ago with SpongeBob repeatedly throwing the patty into a fan and it shits all over Squid. This still made me laugh to this day, which made me feel like Gen Alpha is pretty similar to me. But I've also got one first-hand experience in my life that makes me think that Gen Alpha could truly be a different breed than us. What if I were to tell you recently I had a first-person run-in with a real-life Gen Alpha child? I was at the park with my boys playing the classic basketball game Around the World. Why weren't we just playing basketball? Well, unfortunately, we're all white boys. White boys do it different in certain methods, and basketball is not one of them. We're shooting missed hoops for about 30 minutes until this mom walks over to us like, "My son Axel really wants to play with you boys." And immediately, I knew the boy Roderick was trying to get some good boy points with the mom. So he's like, "Of course we can play with your son." And just like that, we had a group of grown-ass adult dudes playing basketball with a 7-year-old. This situation was a little awkward because none of us wanted to use that sailor talk around the kid, and the kid himself just wasn't saying anything at all. So I try and strike up a conversation with the kid like, "So you ever watch YouTube, lil bro?" Yeah. Damn, alright, so like, what do you like to watch? I'm trying to bait out the skibbity toilet answer because I want to see if it's true that these kids are all addicted to it. But Axel hits me with the, "I like secret room videos." I don't know what a secret room video is, but we all hit him with the, "Oh yeah, I love secret rooms. So you like skibbity toilet?" I cut right to the chase, but as it turned out, he was like, "I love skibbity toilet," to then immediately run away from us, scour through a backpack, and come back with his iPad. He pulls the thing out and starts pulling up YouTube like, "You guys want to watch it?" As if he wasn't already going through the motions of pulling it up. We all look at each other like, the fuck is this kid doing? But we allow the kid to show us skibbity toilet. He just sits on the ground, starts scrolling skibbity toilet shorts, and sings along to the videos while making our entire group stand around him and watch. I don't know why he started showing this to us, but it made us have to completely stop the game. This would normally make me a little bit angry, but I can't lie. Watching this kid was a spectacle. I was also on Roderick's side with winning mom points, so I was willing to sacrifice my fun for the greater good here. And as I stood there looking over a 7-year-old child sing skibbity toilet to me, all I could think is how I'm growing into an old man, and damn, these kids are cooked. Anyways, go to takeyourtime.store and buy something. You know the drill. I get dangerously high by myself, track everything I do on my notes app, and tell the story of the actual brain-rotting activities I get up to. But this time, there's a little twist. Before I got high, I texted my boys group chat to ruin me tonight. They could call me, text me, or just send whatever heinous dung they can at any time throughout the night that would mess with me or just make a funny moment. So here's what happened. After eating my special gummies, the first thing I wrote down in my notes was watermelon with no melon. I guess I found this video so impressive, I just had to share it. Anyways, let me set a scene for you. As the gummies came into effect, the first thought I had to myself was, I want my big Oreos. So I walk myself downstairs into my dimly lit kitchen, fill my favorite coffee mug with warm milk, and start solemnly munching on these porcelain big Oreos, one intimate bite at a time. As it turns out, I only had 3 Oreos in my bag, which left me with a real problem. I got no more Oreos, but so much milk. Without thinking, I trotted up from my seat, walked over to my little tree, and poured my milk into the soil as if it was water. It took me a minute to mentally process that I had given a tree milk until it finally hit me. Wait, no. Trees can't have milk. That's my favorite tree. What have I done? In tears, I frantically search on Google. What happens if a tree drinks milk? After a long search, I learned that milk is actually good for plants. Not just milk is good, but spoiled milk is too. It's actually a good way of making bad milk useful, so that was kind of interesting. Now I'm sitting here thinking about milk. I can't fully explain the thought process behind this moment, but I brought my ass over to YouTube and searched top 10 milk. And just watch this. Why is it so loud? Why would this be the intro to top 10 milk? Anyways, the first milk was Safeway, which isn't even milk, it's a grocery store. But I used to work there, so I commented, so helpful, plus I love Safeway. This comment was a little premature though, because after giving such praise 10 seconds into the video, I decided to skip to the end to see what is the world's greatest milk. This was a terrible mistake that turned all my praise into pure unadulterated rage. They said the best milk is Borden. Are you joking? You have to be smoking crack to genuinely believe Borden is the best milk there is. So rationally, I replied to my original comment with a nasty and hateful reply. As I hit send on the comment, my messages start getting spammed with a constant influx of this deranged dog image coming in from 5 separate people. There had been an organized attack on my iPhone messages, and the dinging wouldn't stop until I got a phone call from someone with no caller ID. I pick up the phone. Hello? And this is exactly what I heard back. Is this Borden? Do I need to repent? Do I need to repent for the sins that I spoke on your milk, Borden? And before there was a reply, my phone crashed from the constant dog images that were still going through that whole time. Holy shit, I made a terrible mistake. But then, as if God's light came shining down at me in my darkest time, as I turned my phone back on, the image of the dog had changed. He was so happy now, grinning ear to ear. It was a beautiful sight. Seeing him smile back at me gave me such a sigh of relief. So I felt I'd treat myself to a little Chipotle queso. I ordered from Postmates, and the driver's name was Quentin, and I promise you this is a detail that comes back. As I'm waiting for my Postmates, I go back on YouTube to see something that truly pissed me off. The video was called Strongest Energy Drinks Comparison, which I thought sounded pretty cool. I was interested in what the world's strongest energy drink was. I click on the video, and every single energy drink has 320 milligrams of caffeine. Like, it does not stop. The drinks just keep going, and they never change. I keep thinking to myself, oh, the next one's gotta be stronger. It's not gonna be 320 milligrams of caffeine, and it never is. I was blown away by the asinine shit this video was, so much so that I left a hate comment. And then I got a neighborhood watch alert from the Ring app that there was a shooting nearby. This was one of the best things that had happened to me this night because it gave me a great idea. If you didn't know, the Ring app has a feature where you can create a post that gets sent out to every single person that has the app in a multiple mile wide radius. I had never done this before, but just the thought to have that much power, sending a direct message to so many people at once, seemed a little too good to be true. But I wanted to figure out if I could do it, if it was possible. First, I would have to figure out what the post was going to be. I thought back to everything that had happened to me this night. That dog with the massive grin, the Postmates driver named Quentin. Everything came together as I uploaded the dog image and gave it the title Dog Acquired and made my masterpiece. Dog alert, we found Quentin. Thank you everyone that helped look for Quentin, but you can finally stop because the search is over. Here he is, happy as ever now that he's home and safe. He must have gone on quite the adventure. I thought this post seemed pretty believable, and so did the people working for Ring, since my post made it through the auto moderation and was sent out to the public. This was a massive success. Not gonna lie, I felt pretty awesome after pulling off the Quentin scheme, so I went upstairs and ate more of my gummies. This would ultimately feed into a dark cycle though, because once I started playing Fortnite, in between every game, I would forget that I had eaten a gummy and I would go for more. I don't know how many of these I ended up having, but I had enough that I tragically forgot the Chipotle queso waiting for me at the door that the real Quentin had delivered for me so graciously. I was just like Drake off these gummies because after I ate all of them, I was out like a light. And that's the end of the story. Subscribe. Bye. When it comes to high school, we all have shit memories. Nobody's decision making will be depthful when they don't have consciousness. Even when it was good, it was never all that good. Today, I'm unfortunately here to recall upon a time that has fallen down in infamy. It was a certified bad time. Back in 11th grade, we needed to up the ante and raise the stakes on a daily basis, merely to keep entertained and probably alive with our hormone brains. So we concocted this half-scheme idea to smoke gold. And what I meant by that was to roll a golden joint, surely an absolute premium experience to be had. We wanted that man in the moon weed to get us out of this motherfucking world and to place into our wraps made of gold. But that wasn't enough. We had the brilliant idea of suggesting a boys' feast this night, featuring a steak, a beautiful steak, as the main dish. We fancied ourselves sophisticated philosophers and men of taste. The philosophers in question being me, Roman, Roderick, and and Adam. Our combined brain power told us we needed to act fast, or else Adam's plug may take a nap. So Adam texted him at lunch real quick to secure a dub before Mans hit his afternoon weed coma. After school, we hopped in the whip and skirted off. Questing with the boys was never any lightweight situation, you understand. A Socratic philosophical debate carried out inside revolving around how much coinage was required for the night's festivities. If we pooled our money, we had $47, which was probably enough to buy the steak and the weed that we wanted. We pulled up to Safeway and parked the whip to commence the shopping. This was my first time buying meat to cook. I didn't know what to look for, and neither did anyone else. We bought the steak, got in, and got the fuck out of there like that. Adam's plug lived right up the hill, so we zoomed up the hill right after and filled into his basement like weed gnomes. When we got the za, we tell him about our quest and ask him if he knows how or where we could find golden wraps. He goes, "Hold on," as he pulls out a golden cone and a small piece of gold paper. You can either have a pre-roll for 20 or the filter for free, but you can't have both. This is what I meant when I said high school was shite. This moment right here should have been it all. Anyways, the boys mentally connect for a moment and confirmed that we're all like, fuck this guy. So we grab the filter and head out. Before we leave, he gives us 3 shops that wouldn't card, according to him. With 2 of the 3 ingredients scored, everybody hopped back in Adam's car and set course for the first shop. We for real felt like American navies in this moment. Brave seamen who ventured into unknown waters for booty. As we pulled into the parking lot, Adam said he wanted to go in first. So we blessed his ass with ancient prayers before exiting the vehicle. He comes back empty-handed and looking a tad unnerved. He explains that he went in to find a really chill, young-looking guy behind the counter. But as he started to browse around, he noticed that there was a bit of a switch up. An old guy sat crossing his arms and glaring at Adam from where the other guy was. This did not vibe with Adam very well, so he bolted out the door before he let anything else happen. Exhibit 19 as to why high school sucks. The shit you have to risk your literal life and limb over was never worth it. Looking back, this was not worth the amount of trouble we could have gotten into. From here on out, we decided to call the places to ask if they had any specialty wraps, but the second and third shops that the plug had given us were a no-go. So we decided to Google 24 karat gold weed wrapping paper for sale near me. This turned up some interesting results, and after some more Googling, we narrowed it down to one shop that might have had. At this point, we're impatient and morally sabotaged after escaping a nearly fatal encounter with the last. As we're pulling into this decrepit looking empty strip mall, we consult the lexicon and find a ritual of protection for our boy Roderick. We gotta buff him with Dark Moon Blade before sending our man out into the fray of Dark Root Garden, bro. This motherfucker Roman starts chanting inaudibly. We wrap up our blessings and Roderick steps out ready to face our collective demons. Adults in authority positions in possession of shit that we want. We wait 5 minutes, then like 8, and then about 10 minutes go by and there's still no sign of him. Finally, he comes out and it looks good. He's got that little grin we all knew meant good things. Roderick went sexy beast mode and not only found the wraps, but convinced this guy that he was 21 enough to buy them. So we had the wraps, we had the za, we had the steak, and we had our magical, precious filter. All that was needed now was to assemble the stones like Thanos and rip fat tokes of this golden excellence. Adam's parents still hadn't gotten home yet, so we zoomed over there to prepare the feast. Adam cracks out the pan while Roman and Roderick take over the cooking preparations. Everyone crowds around the cooking skillet watching the steak come up as Adam tries to roll the joint. The problem was that we had not expected the golden wrapping paper to be as thin and slippery as it was. Adam's fingers couldn't really get a good tuck going and fold the paper over. Micro weed nuggets start falling out and I foresee what is about to happen before it does. This moment is God sent. I prophesized the fall of the joint. As we're all there admiring this magnificent cut of beef, sizzling on the burner. Adam's hands dip down low, causing every single last crumb of weed to roll out the tip into the steak. Nobody says anything. Then, without saying a word or anything out loud, we all lean forward and start trying to inhale the sizzling weed crumbs off the frying pan. But of course, it doesn't work, so we all cry and piss ourselves for the rest of the night. And that's why high school is ass. When vapes were first invented, they were overpowered. I mean, it's like 50 cigarettes in a small little gadget that doesn't produce any smell or need a lighter. Vapes were perfectly discreet so that 15-year-olds could lock down in the bathroom and chief up some nick before 10th grade English class. But the age of the vaping bathroom kids is over, because Zins do everything vapes do, but better. Now there's these little pouches you pop in your mouth, and over the period of 30 minutes gives you the effect of nicotine. Do you realize how overpowered that is? You're gonna be walking into class and hear 30 people all simultaneously smacking their lips with a Zin in their mouth, because now you can just pop in a Zin and go completely incognito. I don't know how schools could catch this unless they check the insides of everyone's mouths. Nothing is stopping vape kids from pulling an upper decker in the classroom. An upper decker like when you put the Zin under your top lip, not like when you poo in the top part of the toilet. That's different. There's actually a little versatility when it comes to Zin use. Along with the upper decker, you could also pull a lower decker if you're feeling a little bit crazy. But if you're feeling like throwing up from an overwhelming amount of nicotine, you could put it directly on your tongue. Unfortunately for me, I didn't know this at the time when I tried my first Zin. It was an extremely dark night, probably one of the darkest nights ever. One of my friends had just acquired a new nicotine addiction, and as we link up, he introduces me to the Zins for the first time. He's smacking on these things like, yeah. So my eyes shift over to observe the activity, and his bloodshot eyes immediately lock in with mine. I asked him, bro, what are you munching on all like that, little bro? And like all people addicted to nicotine, he immediately offered one to me like, yeah, bro, it's a Zin. It's actually way healthier than a cigarette. It's like no tobacco, it's just nicotine, and it's not that bad for you. The only two things that I know are make YouTube shorts and eat peanut butter. So of course I believed him, but as it turns out, he was very incorrect. I was just easily fooled by his charm, but Zins are in fact not great for you. So I start chewing on the damn thing like a damn dog, making all the rookie mistakes. You see, when you put the Zin pouch in your mouth, it's got nicotine in it. As the nicotine comes out the pouch, it infuses with your saliva, as so when swallowed makes a lot of nicotine go into your body at once. And I had also applied it directly to my tongue, which isn't advised either. But at first, I felt pretty fine. I didn't think anything was wrong, so I just went along with my method. It actually took a while for the poison to catch up to me. It wasn't until I got back to my home that I started to feel extremely depressed, and I knew that something was wrong. So I spit that thing in the trash, lay in my bed, and writhe in pain while rubbing my feet together under my blanket. In the course of an hour, this Zin had put me into critical condition. So I start looking up information about Zins to find out I had done my shit all wrong. But also while looking up stuff about Zins, I found out that the Zin community is insufferable. Just look up Zin on TikTok and read any comment section. You will find the most annoying people on the planet coping with their addictions. I don't know why nicotine addicts can't just admit that they're addicted. The annoyance I had with these Zin heads completely overpowered the pain. This shit turned me into a bona fide Zin hater. Eventually, after about an hour on life support, I made it through the terrible pain of the nicotine sickness and I went to bed. But when I awoke the next day, I went right to my phone and ordered more Zins to my house. You'd think I'd learned from my mistake, but the upper decker was just too sweet. I needed it again, bro. And this officially began day one of my Zen experience. So the shits arrived at my house and I used medical grade precautions as to avoid what went down last night at all costs. I carefully inserted my upper decky and had an oversized cup to spit all my nicotine saliva into. And after taking the correct precautions, this Zin started to hit correctly. I started to feel the color come back to my life. The way I felt inside is only comparable to that video of all the 3D animated dancing chimps. Joe Rogan was right. It truly is a surge throughout the entire central nervous system. I'm sitting there getting the whole Gen Alpha experience. spitting into my big cup, watching funny TikToks off the nicotine buzz. The feeling probably lasted around 30 minutes until I threw away the Zyn pouch and went on with my day. Later that night, I decided to pop another Zyn while playing Fortnite, and it still hit me, but not quite like the last one, and that's something important to know. In day 2 of the Zyn experience, I can't even lie, I start munching on the 3 milligram wintergreen Zyn the second I wake up. That first Zyn high of the day feels amazing. It's like I'm naked on top of Mount Everest with a cool breeze brushing past my body. But this day, I got a little bit more feral with it. I was popping the Zyns just about every other hour, but with each passing Zyn, I felt the effects weaker and weaker, which made me come to a realization about the Zyn metagame. After doing this same method for day 3, I realized that I was only really getting those good effects from my first Zyn of the day. Every following Zyn in the day paled in comparison to the first Zyn. And now I can use this knowledge to educate you all on the most important aspect of the Zyn. You have to view the Zyns almost like your ultimate attack with a 24-hour recharge until you can use it again. Which, to be honest, probably helped me not get an addiction. But as soon as I started to respect the power of the Zyn, a whole new level of Zyning opened up to me. I started popping the first Zyn of the day when I went to the gym, and the high was unlike anything humans were meant to experience. Pop the Zyn before you beat your meat. Pop the Zyn before Fortnite. Pop the Zyn before you go to the dentist. It just makes everything better. You gotta trust me on this one. I used this method to go through the rest of my Zyns over the course of the next few days, and once I was out of them, I was ready to never do them again and start scripting this fucking video. But then, before I knew it, a really dark day befell me. Probably one of the darkest in my entire life. A few days later, I'm at what you could call a little kickback, if you will. We got some familiar faces here, but namely, there was the individual who initially put me onto the Zyn. This dude's already zinned up out of his mind because he's addicted to them, and I can't lie, I helped myself to one as well. I take my hand, wiggle my fingers around and say, don't mind if I do, and I take a Zyn. Now, me and this other guy are zinned up with double upper deckies, which naturally makes the other people at this so-called kickback go, now what perchance is that in both of your mouths? Oh bro, it's so good, bro. It's like nicotine without tobacco. It's not even that bad for you, bro. And in that moment, I realized I had became the evil I sought out to destroy. Somehow the Zyns had snuck themselves into my life and slowly turned me into a Zyn person day by day. I thought I was better than this, but the Zyns had bested me. So I immediately burst into tears, ran away from the kickback, and sat under a tree like that really opium image of the wolf with the wise look in his eyes. I probably look just as cool as he does in that image, to be honest. I said to myself, damn these Zyns! Damn them all to hell! And I swore to never pull a sick upper decky again for the rest of my life from that moment forward. This was probably for the best because except for lifelong nicotine addiction, I was afraid of them corroding my gums and turning me into a British person. You never know, this might just be a psyop from the United Kingdom to bring down our beautiful American teeth standards to their level. I wouldn't put it past the CEO of Zyn's, Lard Dargan, to be plotting something like that. He looks like he would plot evil schemes. In the end, I gotta say, Zyns are just another common L for nicotine. Okay, bye! Listen, smoking can be fun and all, but anyone who's done it consistently knows that it can get stale. If you think about it, it probably makes sense scientifically. After you feel the same stimulus, you'll eventually grow jaded to it. But people who don't smoke almost always take the high experience in entirely new ways. So I decided to get a group of friends together that have never smoked to test this hypothesis. I don't have a lot of friends though, so it was only 2 people, so please don't comment on that. But my lucky individuals were the legend Cameron and my friend Jaime. Jaime showed up to my house first, and completely unannounced to me, he came in full Joker face paint. When I saw this, I got the feeling that this night was gonna be really funny or really scary for Cameron. I didn't know how he'd take this once he saw it high. But eventually, young Cameron pulled up, and I gave the 2 of them edibles because they didn't want to hurt their little lungs. So while we're waiting for these to hit, I really start hyping the whole thing up to these guys. Alright guys, listen, this is gonna actually change your lives. This is gonna be the best experience that you've ever had. And Jaime was like, I'm the Joker. And not even 10 minutes after consumption, Cameron swore he could feel it already. That was cap though. It was all placebo at this point, but he believed it with his whole heart. It didn't help that Jaime started gaslighting him like, yeah, you definitely feel it, man. I think I'm actually starting to feel it too. Holy fuck, I'm so fucking high. So Cameron lays on the bed thinking that he's already high while Jaime just starts getting into my PC. There was very little time before Jaime just opened Steam and bought Honey Pop with my credit card. Trust me, I didn't own this game beforehand. I got a little pissed because bro really thought he was the Joker and intruded into my things, but the game didn't cost that much, so I let it slide. The only thing I hoped for is that once this gummy hit Jaime, this game didn't make him go off and do something the real Joker would never even think of doing. After 30 minutes, these gummies actually started to hit Cameron, and he explained it was like it felt like he was driving a car. Bro was laying on his back with his arms up in the air like, oh my god guys, I'm going so fast, I can't slow down. And as soon as he stood up from the bed, Jaime charged him holding a yoga ball screaming, holy fuck, there's a car coming, and launching Cameron back into the bed. Bro would not let Cameron get off the bed. Every time he tried to get up, he just got launched back to where he started. I was watching him get bullied before my very eyes, but I decided not to intervene. So after Cameron got launched a few more times, he started explaining how the impact of every crash was turning his insides into mush. He used the analogy that he felt like an orange that still had the peel intact, but the fruity inside part was smashed. This is when I decided to actually make an intervention, and I stole the yoga ball from Jaime. He was getting a little too in character with that Joker face paint. Jaime started throwing a little hissy fit and crying, so he walked away and started playing Honey Pop again. So I took the opportunity to really interview Cameron. So Big Dog, explain to me how you're feeling, Big Dog. And bro started smacking his lips together super loud. This was some audible lip smacking until he explained, my mouth tastes really good. Like, I feel like I don't have to eat anymore for the rest of my life because my mouth tastes so good. I'm like, damn, that's crazy, Big Dog. And upon further inspection, the reason that he felt this was because all the impact from that yoga ball made him bite his tongue and he was slightly bleeding. I didn't want to bring attention to all that, so my plan as the professional in this situation was to give him yummy food and hopefully he wouldn't notice the blood in his mouth. So I'm like, are any of my little boys hungry? And immediately those two go feral. Those first time munchies hit hard. So I pull up the classic McDonald's Postmates and Jaime takes my phone like, let me pick what I want. I'm the Joker, baby. Chicken nugget. I want chicken nugget. I'm on it. Let's get some of these chicken nuggets. So Jaime starts spamming the chicken nugget button and orders 50 chicken nuggets to my damn house. As an empathetic individual, I knew the long wait for the Postmates to arrive would be harrowing and brutal for these two. I decided I needed a distraction so they wouldn't complain about it taking too long, mainly Jaime. So I pulled out the iPhone projector and started playing Five Nights at Freddy's game theory lore videos because I know Jaime loves those. After not even getting a few minutes into the video, I came to the realization this was actually a terrible mistake because it started to make Jaime genuinely tweet. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is the worst thing to ever happen to the series. What is Blood yapping about?
I don't know, man. I'm really hungry.
It totally has all the pieces for a dream theory to be true, but no. Is this like an issue? Like, should we stop him? I don't know if this is bad for his health. Why is the Chica toy missing its beak? I don't know, what does any of that mean? And what the fuck is Juniors? Why don't people realize FNAF 3 takes place in 2015? 30 years refers to 30 years since the original murders in 1985, not 30 years since the first game. That makes no sense. Luckily, the Postmates notification cut him off and it was chicken nugget time. Let's go. So we ran downstairs, got the food, ran upstairs, but as me and Cameron got to the bedroom, we decided we needed water with the nuggets so that we didn't choke to death. Before we went back downstairs though, I decided to snap a little picture of the scene in front of me because seeing Jaime and Joker face paint playing Honey Pop with 50 chicken McNuggets was something I didn't want to forget. But unknown to us, this would quickly become a top 10 moments caught before disaster image. So we go downstairs, fill up the water in the slow refrigerator faucet, and head on up. And in that short amount of time, Jaime had eaten every single one of the 50 chicken nuggets. What the fuck happened to the nuggets, dude?
Oh my god, no, why?
And he just stared and laughed. The worst part is he didn't even eat these nuggets because he was hungry. He ate them because he thought it would be funny if we came back and they were all gone. And considering that he ate 50 nuggets in the period of a few minutes, it didn't take long for Jaime to run to the bathroom throwing up. And honestly, he deserved it at this point. Bro has been acting a fool for hours. He deserves to feel some of the pain he inflicts on others for a change. Immediately after he finished at the toilet, he got right back to playing more Honey Pop as if nothing happened. He had a serious grind to commit to still. Cameron, on the other hand, wasn't feeling all that great after the nugget disaster. Bro was crying his eyes out and bleeding from the mouth like,
I'm so hungry, bro. Is there any more food left, bro?
Yeah, dude, there is. I just need to go get it from the kitchen. So I gave Cameron the iPad with Cocoa Melon while I went to order more McDonald's. Cameron immediately became demobilized and fell into the Cocoa Melon trance. But unbeknownst to him, I was about to pull a little debauchery on him because I wasn't about to pay for another McDonald's order. I went downstairs into my kitchen trying to find some good mulch for the boys to eat. I came back with a big bag of Doritos and told the lads that I got the new McDonald's Doritos, my boys. They taste so good. They're way better than the standard ones. And that was enough for him to immediately forget about what Jaime did. I tried to go up to Jaime and ask, so bro, like, how does it feel for you right now? And the only response he would say is, fuck man, I'm so fucking high, man, holy fuck. To then immediately lock back in and play more Honey Pop. I don't know why he was so locked into this game, dude. Like, he either truly wanted to play this goofy video game all night, or he was just so committed to playing a character that he wouldn't break it for a second. The only eventful moment beyond this was when Cameron dropped the iPad on his face. It seemed that at this point, the night had brought itself to a stalemate. Going back to my hypothesis, the gummies happened to turn Jaime into more of an evil person than he usually is, and it turned Cameron into a toddler. To be honest, I don't think they took it very differently as non-smokers, but also maybe I chose the worst sample group imaginable, I don't know. But anyways, that's the video. Subscribe, bye! I've done mushrooms a handful of times now, and I've only really had good experiences with it. I like that shit. Except for one time. I wouldn't call this necessarily a bad trip per se, but rather just a little freaky at times. I was chilling with my two boys, we'll call them Roderick and Cole. It was a Friday, September night at Cole's place with the good vibes and that good gas we was smoking. There's not much to say about the beginning of this night because it was before some of the more memorable moments happened, but I do have a little voice memo from it that I can play. We're in the kitchen right now and the lights are off and there's a blue light emanating from Cole's bedroom and I'm walking into the light.
Thieves and beggars.
Traveler, where have you come from?
Travis.
This is Skyrim.
Eventually into the night, Cole brought out some mushrooms, which we had not discussed doing beforehand and I was not entirely prepared for. He was like, yo boys, we gotta do these shrooms. And we were both game. A little thing about Cole's place is that he lives on the top floor of his apartment. So best believe we were feeling bougie with the supreme views. We were staring out the window, looking down at the street when the shrooms hit it. And combined with the weed, it just sent us. I guess staring at the window was starting to give these boys some ideas because Roderick was like, bro, we should go for a walk. Which sounded good in the moment, but in hindsight, it's kind of a bad idea to walk around town late at night on mushrooms and completely baked. But we went out anyways. If you've ever been in this kind of mind state, you know how everything just seems to have this gloss over it that just makes you giggle. We are trying to get out the door and down the stairs with these big grins on our face, chuckling down each step. I don't know if anyone had seen or heard us at this time, but I am sure that if they did, they knew what was going down. One of the first things I noticed was how I could see more. It was like when you turn up your field of vision in Minecraft and you can just see a wider view. And we were just staring at this brick pillar. It's hard to explain, but everything just felt like Minecraft. I was convinced that this pillar was made out of like 3 Minecraft blocks stacked on top of each other, and it was the coolest thing I had ever seen. Cole threw out the idea of going to college campus, which from where we were was only about a 10-minute walk, which sounded great because there's a ton of sick architecture to look at there, but also there's a ton of people and students walking around. But you know, what's the worst that could happen? So we were down. We had the objective. We have to get to campus. The particular neighborhoods we had to walk through to get to campus were very hilly, which my mind liked a lot. I don't know why, but I kept saying, bro, this is like Disneyland, bro. This is just like Disneyland, bro. And then this lady sprints right past us. We didn't think any of it at first, but then a few minutes of walking later, there were these 3 big homeless dudes walking in the same direction. In hindsight, I don't think these people were following her, considering how slow they were walking and how far away they were, but my mind made a connection. I was like, wait a minute, I think we just walked past a situation. And my boys were like, yo, I think you're right. I think that was a situation. So we felt the need to bring justice upon these people and intervene. We gotta help her out. But then I looked at these homeless dudes. These 3 homeless dudes were all bigger than the 3 of us. And in that moment, these homeless guys were not just homeless guys. They were predator and I was prey. I felt like an animal looking at these people. These dudes could end me in an instant if they wanted to. So I turned around and I went the other way. And there it was. On the top of this hill was a full view of the college campus. It was so bright and welcoming. It was my saving grace from whatever had just happened. Walking onto campus, Cole started to get really into the architecture. And to be fair, it is really nice buildings. It does look cool. But he was like really into it. He was running around the place and he wanted to see all of it. But considering what had happened prior, that just wasn't an energy level that I could match him on. Eventually, going through campus a little deeper, we found that there was an entire amusement park that we didn't know about. I guess it was homecoming night and they had set up Ferris wheels and little rides. It was crazy and none of us knew about this. All those lights from the rides you would think would be so appealing to my shroomy brain, but since it was later into the night, only the workers were really around and they were in the process of taking down the rides, which kind of gave off this creepy abandoned amusement park vibe, which is never a good vibe to be in. So as we walked through the park, I noticed that one of the workers, he looked a little familiar to me. So upon closer examination, I recognized him as my own flesh and blood human father. This was my dad. He was just there. I guess he was just working some random job that I had no idea about, but my mind freaked out. I did not want to speak to my dad while I was on drugs. So I did this awkward speed walk thing to get away, but not too fast because I didn't want to bring attention to me, but you know, just like kind of a little walk. I swear I got within like a foot of him and he did not notice. It was a close call. At this point, I just wanted to go home, bro. Roderick was really just chilling. He was just having a good time and Cole was still acting like a goddamn fool. This dude started dancing around while we walked around the campus with no regard to the people passing. It was sus. It was sus. But honestly, that's kind of a mindset I think everyone wishes they could be on. But considering what happened that night, I just wasn't there. I had to pull the plug at the night at this point, so I called up my girlfriend to pick me up. I was not about to walk all the way back. She picked me up, and when we got back to her place, I got the best sleep of my life. I was so relieved that I was in bed, it felt unreal. Despite the hectic night, we still got the good ending. If you're ever under the influence of shrooms, I would personally refrain from going out into populated areas for your walks. You can still go outside, I just stick to trails and like forest type walks. And if you start to freak out a little bit, make sure you have a girlfriend to call and pick you up. And if you don't, I'm not surprised. But so not too long ago, I got pretty close with my plug to the point where I just kind of would chill at his place, smoke, and play some games with him. If you've ever been over to one of your plug's places, you know they always have the best cribs. This guy had those big old couches in his basement, the ones that kind of go all around the room in a C type shape. He had bean bags. There was even a little aquarium so you could watch fish swim around while you're off that Zaza. It's always just the prime place to be. I live in a fairly smaller town too, so this guy wasn't just my plug, but the plug. This guy would just leave the door open and let people come into his home, pick up whatever they were getting, and go on their way. So people were constantly in and out of the place throughout the night, and I got to see a lot of interesting people and interactions in this time. The thing that set this guy apart from any of the other plugs that I've ever known is the way that he makes his transactions. He's got his Cash App and his Venmo set up, of course, and he takes cash, but that was only when there was money involved. Sometimes the things this guy would take weren't even money. This guy would be trading the most random things for his weed as long as it interested him enough. Hey bro, I got this tire here. I've dismantled it from like a neighboring resident's vehicle if you're interested in that. Oh yeah, bro, that'll be an ounce. If someone comes in with a Slinky and he wants it, he'll trade it for weed. Somebody comes in with a Happy Meal from McDonald's, if he's hungry enough, he'll trade it for weed. One time, some guy came in with a fish in a bag, like those little carnival fishes that you win. He thought that the plug would want it to add to his aquarium that he had, but he just turned the guy down, which I think is pretty reasonable. This guy would collect such an amalgamation of the most random items as long as he wanted them. One of the most legendary moments was when this guy traded his PS5 and a controller with a copy of Demon Souls for a half pound of weed. We stayed up all night playing with this thing. It was a blast. We had a few friends that would stream on Twitch too, so we pulled them up on the PS5, and the plug would just type things in the chat like, if you ace this round, we'll give you free weed. He would act like he was Mr. Beast giving out money, but it was gas, bro. He was giving out weed. One of the strangest things that he traded for weed was probably a 12-piece chicken McNugget from McDonald's for a gram of weed. These guys just pulled up to buy some weed from him, and he saw they had McDonald's in their car, and I guess he was just that hungry, so he decided to make the trade. But that's not the only time that he would trade food for weed. Matter of fact, food was probably one of the most common things that he would take from people. He would even text previous customers if they would bring him food for weed, and they always would. This guy had the whole town at his fingertips. This was his own personal DoorDash service. I'm pretty sure there were even a good amount of days where he was just straight up not profiting because of the amount of food he would have people bring him would not be proportional to the cost of the weed. He was addicted to that late night Taco Bell cheesy gordita crunch, so much so that it was putting him out of business. There was even times where what he would be trading weed for were not even material objects. Hey bro, if you can do a backflip, I'll give you some weed. All right, good job. Now do another one. All right, good job. There you go. I was tight enough with this guy that he would even let me get in on this. And I won't lie, I'm a pretty strong young boy. I would be testing my physical capabilities with these customers. I'd be arm wrestling everyone in town on a 15-game win streak. I'd be doing push-up competitions with these random customers, racing guys up and down the streets. I was letting no one get their weed. I was the gatekeeper. No one got past me. I would be in the gym training just so these people wouldn't beat me for the weed, except for this one dude. His name was legitimately Magnus, and he was just outmatching me in every physical way possible. He was claiming all of the weed for himself. That dude was a legend. Being friends with the plug is just an all-around good experience. You get good deals on their stuff, and most of the time they're pretty cool people. There are some weird experiences like that fish guy, but I imagine that's just exclusive to my situation.
Real quick before this video ends, I want you guys to understand how grateful I am for all the support that I've been getting on these videos. It's fucking awesome. It's awesome. Thank you. Subscribe. The Benjamin to a stoner is the equivalent to a peasant's potato farm, meaning it's quite literally the bread and butter of our lives. Because of that, most people end up smoking them for their first time. But for me, this was my second time. I was posted up inside Big Bro Roderick's incredible house one winter evening. We both felt awesome with very impressive looks on our faces. There were supposedly big plans this evening because Roderick was like, I know these 4 people having the biggest, most awesome party tonight, which sounded grand, but there was one problem. Do I know these people though? No. Do they know me? Yes. And that was enough for me to be a little bit hesitant. I don't know, man. They could bully me. Don't sweat it, chap. One little dinghy off this port bow and you'll feel on top of the world. Holy crap, what's that? What is that?
It's weed.
Boom! This was a top 10 bomba-clot moments of my entire life. As I mentioned, I had only ever smoked one time before this, and the parasites in my brain were starting to speak to me. The same parasitic voices that tell me to peek corners in Valorant, gamble more money, and generally overextend on things I shouldn't were firing. Alright, Roderick, we've done this once before. I don't see the harm in going for a second.
Oh god, it hurts so badly.
You can't go crazy like that, bro. You gotta take your time. Oh, alright, I'll do it gently. Are you good, bro?
Yeah.
Alright, my boy, let's head out and drive to this shindig. As we start to drive, all this time in the car allows me to grasp the gravity of the situation I'm in. The world started to change around me in ways I didn't understand, and I felt an awe-inspiring feeling in my fingertips. I could not act right, and I started to go crazy until immediately locking in, because I was about to enter a home I didn't know with 4 people I also don't know.
Hey, bro, if they see me like this, what do you think they'll think of me?
Oh, I think you're gonna be all good, bro. Oh my god! I had a bad case of the poo-poo eyes from those Benjamin tokes.
You look awesome, dude. You'll be okay. Just put on these cool shades and they'll be very impressed with your style.
Whoa, I feel like I'm number 1, dude. So as we pull up to the house, there's only one single objective on my mind. I need to convince each of these people that I'm sober. Because if they see me high, they're gonna think I'm an addicted bum. We walk in through the front door and there's already a major fork in my plans. Roderick had actually brought me to the hose. I don't even know how to act around the hose when I'm sober, and those pen hits gave me slurp juice brain. Luckily, there was only this one girl named Sarah as we walked in, but I kid you not, she looked exactly like the Fortnite Sunstrider skin. God threw a level 10 baddie my way, and I started getting anxiety, but I couldn't forget the objective at hand. I can't let Sunstrider find out that I'm high. Yo, what's up, Sarah? This is Ninye.
Oh my god, Roderick has told me so much about you.
Alright, I can't mess up my first introduction. Yo, haha, that's awesome. Okay, that wasn't bad. Alright, I'm gonna go say hi to everyone else. Bye, guys. God damn it, now I'm all alone with her.
So why are you wearing those shades in the middle of the night?
Off rip, she's going for my weak spot. I gotta change the subject. Are you very impressed with my style? Fuck.
Yeah, you look really cool.
This is too stressful. I need to go somewhere to blow off a little steam. Alright, where's the bathroom? So we go upstairs and she shows me to the little man's room and I start doing push-ups on the ground like, ugh, fuck yeah, ugh. I'm trying to get a little pump in an attempt to get my head back in the game. But while grunting and moaning on the floor, I can see Sunstrider's feet from under the little crack of the door on the floor. So hopefully she didn't get the wrong idea from my sounds. But I waste no time to text Roderick, I'm afraid of the hose, bro. In which he replies, don't worry, I'll clutch up for you. So as I leave the bathroom, Roderick comes upstairs with a deck of Uno cards and a bottle of vodka and starts telling us rules like, you two gotta drink every time you draw a card. Sarah, you go first. Bro is taking some big dog initiative in this situation. And then Roderick essentially just falls back down the stairs. Now I'm pretty much locked into playing Uno with this one girl at this point. But I start dicing her up with these draw fours like I'm a professional at this. And in no time, Sunstrider starts getting all bomba clot from the drink. She starts getting into all this girl talk suck. Like,
I fucking hate my friend Melissa. She fucked my ex-boyfriend last week.
and I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Well, I keep pulling out these draw fours like nobody's business. Somehow before I knew it, Sunstrider had inched her way to sitting right next to me. She starts taking whole swigs from the bottle and looks at me like,
You haven't drank anything yet. You can't be the only sober one.
let's fucking go! This whole time I had successfully masked the fact that I was high, and her saying that just confirmed it. So I take a celebratory swig, but then she starts doing some weird shiz, like putting her hand on my thigh like,
Fuck Melissa anyways.
but it turns out she drank more than she could handle because she couldn't control the volume of her voice, and she said that really loudly. Before we know it, this girl runs upstairs like,
What the fuck did you just say?
Turns out Melissa was at the party and heard everything. The two other girls come running up from behind Melissa, and a whole fight starts breaking out before I could process what was about to happen to me. Even this girl's little brother walks out of some bedroom. I didn't even know he was in the house, but he starts to get involved in this. I'm just sitting on the floor watching it all unfold until Roderick slowly walks up the stairs behind them and beckons me to come over to him. He's like, yo, I don't know what's going on, but we should probably leave. I'm down, bro. This place is getting a little too heated for me. So we sneak out the front door and drive away. I start telling Roderick about what happened with me completely washing this girl in Uno with no remorse for her soul. And he drops the biggest plot twist of the night. It turns out he had rigged the cards and made every other card draw in my favor so that the girl would drink more and make the situation less awkward with me. So if there's any takeaway from this story, take your time with the Benjamin because it hits very hard. Before you know it, you'll get anxiety from the hose. Target is an amazing place, isn't it? I don't know what it is about this grocery store, but somehow I just always find myself going here even when I have absolutely no reason to be in Target. It's just the superior Walmart. I walk into Walmart and it's like a wave of depression just hits me. No one wants to be there. The floors are all gray. It's terrible. But on the other hand, I walk into Target and the exact opposite happens to me. Maybe it's the floor colors. That could really be the secret. So I love Target, but that's just when I'm sober. If I smoke and then I go into a Target, it's just a different story. This is my happy place. Jumping over a ball and entering those doors, I become unstoppable. I don't know if your Target is like this, but most of the ones that I've been to have a Starbucks as soon as you walk in. So I'll be going up to the Starbucks as soon as I walk in there, and I'll pull the, can I get and I just can't help myself to eat one of those ooey gooey delicious little pastries they sell there. I end up buying one of those caramel ribbon crunch frappuccinos and drink the whole thing while I'm in the store with no regard to the impending diabetes that I'm going to have. I end up getting super high and cracked off this caffeine, and I've just started. I just walked through the doors and I'm fucked. I don't know if other people experience this, but whenever I'm in a public grocery store while I'm high, I just walk around with a big smile on my face and I can't control it. I don't want to be walking around with this big ass grin. I try and resist it, but it just can't be stopped, which becomes a problem because when you're high in public, you don't want people to know you're high. Me especially. Even if I'm chilling at home and I'm high, I try and keep it from everyone. It's just like an instinct. I have no reason to do this. I just kind of do. So I'll just be in Target feeling like I'm the most suspicious guy on the planet because of this big ol' smile. To be honest, I probably am. I mean, people see me, they perceive me. I probably am sus as hell. And that's why you gotta wear a mask when you go out high. That's a little wisdom for you. Despite being an adult man, the first place I'm gravitated to is, of course, the Lego aisle. I know I'm not gonna buy any of these Lego sets too. They're way too expensive, but there's a strange enjoyment in just staring at them. Maybe I'm imagining me having them and that's enough to satisfy me, or it could be that I'm reminiscing on the long lost childhood wonders these blocks once gave me. Such a pure joy that could never be recreated in my current
broken state. But either way, I just like looking at the different Lego sets Target has. And I always find myself back in the exercise equipment section as well. You know where they have those weird curvy sticks? I have no idea what these are supposed to do or what they are, but I always pick it up and just mess with it. You know, I'll poke my back a few times with it and just put it down, as confused as I was the last time I tried doing this. And it's always a Target tradition to try and curl the 40-pound dumbbells. You just can't resist the masculine urge to curl the Target 40-pound dumbbell. I'll be in the aisle getting an entire workout in. And don't even get me started on the big ball bin. I be bouncing them big balls through the halls. I just be bouncing them balls all I want. No one can stop me from bouncing the big balls. I never buy them though. I don't know one person that's ever bought in these balls, but you always gotta play with them. And then I conclude my awesome 20-minute Target trip of the day, still high, just with a lot of sugar and caffeine in my system. My hands are still empty because I don't ever buy shit. Call me the menace of Target. I just be messing with things. Now that I think about it, I really just do fuck with Target a lot. When I used to live in college dorms, I didn't want to pay for a parking pass, so I just parked at Target and left my car there overnight for like an entire year, and no one stopped me despite the sign saying that you can't park at Target. And another message, thank you for 10,000 subscribers. Jesus fucking Christ, like this just happened so goddamn fast. I don't know where it came from, but you know, I'm about it. So what I want to do for 10,000 subs is a Q&A video. So what you can do is either just comment on this video a question, or I made a community post. You'll probably have more luck getting it answered if you reply on the community post rather than the comments, but you know, just go ahead and do that. Okay, bye. I haven't gotten high in school very often, and anyone who has gotten high in school would know why. It always sounds like a good idea at first, but in practice, it can be so goddamn scary. Now, this story isn't just about me getting high, but instead the whole squad was smoking in class. And under those circumstances in mind, you know shit had to have gone down, and it did. So it was the first day back to school from summer break, and it was the morning of that day before the classes had started. As the nature of the first day of school goes, I was pissed off, and so was my boy Roderick, the same guy from the mushroom story. We were pissed we had to be back in this place, but it also was sick to see everyone I didn't see over the summer. So we were greeting everyone in the grade, catching up in the hallways, when none other than the man himself, Kevin, comes through the doors, beelines straight to the two of us and whispers in our ears, "Bro, meet me in the handicapped stall real quick. I got something to tell you." Which, may I add, is an insane way to greet someone on the first day back from summer break, but we followed him into the bathroom to see what was up. As we walked in, Kevin is standing on the toilet like he is about to give a speech to us and says, "Guys, none of the three of us want to be here. Wouldn't you guys agree?" And we nodded our heads in agreement. "Then why don't we go somewhere else?" And this guy pulls out not just one, but 3 different wax pens, and our mouths are agape. Keep in mind, I rarely smoked at this time, so to see not just 1, but 3 wax pens that this dude had brought into the school was the craziest thing I had ever witnessed. I was like, no way we're smoking right here and right now. And Kevin said, "Not yet. See, I've been dreading the first day of school for a long time now, so I've thought up a way to make it a little more interesting. I want to play a game. We each carry a pen on us for the entirety of the day. Every time somebody says some dumb shit, you have to take a hit. And if you don't get caught all day, you get to keep the pen. But if you get caught, you owe me $50. In one moment, I was going about my ordinary day in school, and in the next, I'm choosing which pill I'm gonna take, and you know I took the green pill, and so did Roderick. I won't lie, the speech had us getting hyped in this bathroom stall. If anyone was in the bathroom at the time, I feel like they probably would have gotten the wrong idea, But anyways, we had to plan our day. We all brought out our schedules to see which classes we shared. I shared Spanish with Roderick, math I was with both, English I was alone for, in study hall I had the two of them again. But the bell rang and me and Roderick headed over to Spanish and departed from Kevin. As we walked into the classroom, we agreed we wouldn't sit next to each other, so if one person came down, the other wouldn't come down with them. And it would be easier to stay undercover, so we both sat in the back corners of the class. The class started and the teachers were going over the syllabus when this kid raised his hand and asked, "When we get our assignments, do you want our names in English or Spanish?" Me and Roderick just stared at each other from across the class after that. We knew what we had to do. As soon as the teacher turned around to the whiteboard, we took a hit, but then she turned around and we just had to hold in the smoke until she turned around again. And once I did, I started coughing loud. I couldn't hold it in that long. So I crossed my arms and put my head down, and no one thought anything of it, but it was close. The class went on and we got out of that one safe, although those wax pens, if you've ever smoked them before, hit hard. So even though I only took one hit, I was already feeling it as we walked to math. We got to the class first, and as Kevin walked in, he looked so fucked up. I was like, "Bro, what happened to you?" And all he replied with was, "It was Liam, bro." And then just took a seat before I could respond. Lord have mercy on his soul. Let me tell you, math was a dreadful class to get through. Not because of the challenge. We didn't even have to smoke once during this period. It was just the munchies, bro. Lunch was the next period, and I was fiending for that school lunch. The most entertaining thing that happened to that class was that I sat across from Kevin, staring him straight on, and he just kept nodding out of existence and coming back. This guy was on another planet, and it was only 10 in the morning. Once lunch came, I spent like $20 on snacks, but they were all out of the vending machine, which was a process I did not have the patience for. Waiting for the food to come down just felt like an eternity. The squad linked up and I tried to get more information on what happened to Kevin during first period. Can you elaborate on what happened to you earlier, bro? Liam, bro, he had to introduce himself and he said he likes kids. He didn't realize how bad that sounded, bro. But he really said it. And to be honest, me and Roderick, we just decided to take a hit right there after hearing that out of respect for what he had gone through. Once the bell rang, I started stressing because my next class was alone. I lost my supports and I had to face English class like a real stoic man. I sat down. I don't remember exactly what the question was, but I do know that some kid said something that I had to smoke to. So I had to take a hit. Then the guy next to me leans over and looks into my eyes and just nods. I was sitting next to the school stoner Bradley. Bradley saw this and asked, "Yo, can I get one, bro?" So respectfully, I handed him the pen and with no remorse for his own life proceeded to blow it straight into the air, and of course the teacher noticed and walked over. I thought it was all over for me in this moment, but he just ended up sending Bradley to the office. But the thing is that he still had my pen on him when he left. This guy, 200 IQ, outplayed me and purposefully got sent to the office so he could take the pen for himself. I don't know if that was actually his plan, but that's just what it seemed like to me. Once English ended, I walked into study hall, and this part was the hardest part of the challenge to overcome. If you've had study hall before, you know how silent the class is. So I'm trying to tell these two how I got my pen stolen, but I'm so high I cannot control how loud I'm being, and I just can't communicate what happens. I guess they both deemed that to be smokable, so they both took a hit, and as they exhaled, I couldn't help but just laugh at myself, and I laughed loudly, which alerted the teacher and got Roderick and Kevin caught. But since I got my pen stolen, I got away from it. I didn't have anything on me. They got sent to the front office, and I had to wait out the next hour of this class in an excruciating silence, just paranoid that somebody was gonna come after me. But at the end of the day, nothing happened of it, so I technically won the challenge and got to keep the pen. But since it got stolen, I really just got nothing. But I'm glad I won though, because if I had lost, I would have had to fork over $50 and a new pen. So I dodged a bullet there. So while I didn't get anything, at least I didn't lose.
I've smoked, I've drank, Lord forgive me, I've even done mushrooms. But in my eyes, all of those are fairly moderate or not bad substances. But this time, doing Molly was the first time I dipped my toes into the deep end and jumped into what I would consider the dark side. And I didn't even mean to do Molly this day. So it all starts at the end of my day. I had just gotten done with a long day of work and I was winding down and, well, I'll just let this video speak for itself.
Doesn't get any better than this, brother. Got my One Piece, my Vizzy hard seltzer, and my Lego Vespa. This is gonna be a good night.
When suddenly I got a FaceTime from Adam. I picked it up and I see him with the legend Roderick. They were like, bro, you gotta come over. Roderick's in town. And I hadn't seen him all summer, so I was hype. Yeah, bro, I'll come over, but you gotta pick me up because I'm off the hard seltzer, my boy. So my goons come and get me and take me back to Adam's mansion house. I had to put the brakes on the Lego Vespa, but I had higher priorities to attend to. So we get to Adam's house, run down to the basement garage, and get into the weed Porsche. We had the weed as we entered the car, but what I didn't know was that Adam had a little something else in his current possession. He turns around and reveals 3 different pills for each of us. Boys, I have Molly if we want to try it tonight. Now, I got a bit of whiplash from this. None of the 3 of us had done Molly at all before, so this was entirely out of left field. These 2 were both on board, but I was a little hesitant. Pills are nothing to trifle with. Adam had tested them, so we knew they were safe, but I was still a little sussed out, but also interested in trying them. In classic Ninja fashion, I said yes, but I opened up the pill and only took half. Because if this was gonna kill us, at least it would kill them first. Holy shit. So we popped these little guys and waited for our digestive systems to do its thing. We bumped the music and had a little chit chat. After about 15 minutes had passed, this Pop Smoke music was starting to sound a little better than usual. We were enchanted by the woo, and the 3 of us just get so much energy from this music. We step out of the Porsche and decide to experience this in the outdoors. So we go for a sunset walk around the neighborhood. As we walk around, Adam discovers that walking backwards is apparently really awesome. So the 3 of us are walking through the streets backwards, and I imagine it would be a strange cryptid thing to see as a bystander. I remember this moment was when it really started to hit these 2. Adam was staring at the sky like, bro, I'm breaking through, holy shit. It was like that video of the guy doing DMT on CSGO. As for me, I'm not really feeling all that much yet since I only took half the dosage. We get back to the place and I take the other half. For the next half an hour, these guys feel like kings, but I never reached that peak since I spread it out. So we decided to smoke on top of the Molly, and this is where I get sent to the moon and only really remember certain parts of the night. I had smoked that Yarnum pack that had me feeling like a Lovecraftian 5th dimensional being. Before I know it, there's an Uber at the house. I had no memory of ordering one, and I had no idea where it was gonna take me, but I get in anyways. The drive felt like 20 seconds long, but it had to have been at least a 10-minute ride. The whole time, my consciousness is just shifting in and out, and it felt like I was teleporting down each block. We get dropped off at this trail, and despite being a place that I go pretty often, I was like, bro, where are we? It was so dark, I couldn't even see the ground I was stepping on. I just moved my feet forward and trusted that I wouldn't trip or run into anything. I remember saying, guys, I need you to look after me right now. I'm too fucked. Which was absolutely true. If I was alone out here, I would have been no better than the wild animals. I would have slept in the fields or something. It was so dark, my depth perception was all fricked up, and the trees looked like 2-dimensional images.
ages. I didn't even feel like I was walking. It was like I moved in place while the world spun under my feet. The trees were coming at me. I wasn't walking towards the trees, if you know what I mean. Before I know it, I'm in another Uber going home. We get back to Adam's place and it was somehow 4 a.m., which is just an absolutely devilish time for me. Mind you, I go to bed at like 9 p.m. on a normal day, so I passed out. I wake up at like 6 a.m. and I get a ride home on my feeble 2 hours of sleep. And you would think it's over here, but that's not the end of the story. For the rest of this day, I'm just tired and chilled out, building my Lego Vespa and watching shows on the telly. Until about 6 p.m. hits and I get another FaceTime from Adam. Come over, bro. We got more Molly. We're taking it again. I was like, what the fuck are these people doing? They're gonna stay up for 2 days non-stop on Molly. What the fuck? So I head over to Adam's place and he still has Roderick over there, but also my boy Kevin is partaking in this unholy day. This time I'm purely here to observe. I'm not doing it again until Adam offers me mushrooms. So you know, I won't lie, I ate a little bit, but just a little, not that much. The four of us Uber to Safeway for yummies. We walk in there looking sus as hell. I can't stop smiling. I try my hardest not to, but it's just something I couldn't do, man. I end up buying an entire box of donuts and we Uber over to the park for a walk. We get dropped off by my boy Cameron's house, who lives by the destination, and he comes out just because he hears us outside. Just like that, my little party has grown to 5 people, and I'm handing out these donuts like I'm Mr. Beast philanthropy. From a storytelling perspective, this walk doesn't really have much to talk about. It was really just a fun and peaceful time. A late night walk out with the gang through the forest was just really nice. The entire walk, somehow, Cameron didn't catch on that the 4 of us were on drugs, which I think is really funny. Lord knows I'm not doing anything harder than Molly, especially not lean. Looking back on it, I don't think I'd do Molly again. It's just a little too intense for me. Mushrooms are where I draw the line. I'm sure a few people are gonna want to do Molly from this video, and if you really want to, I can't stop you, but if you're going to, you gotta test it like Adam did. Pills are not something you want to take risks with. All right, my 85.4% men, 12.4% females, and especially you 2.2% unspecified. Thank you for 10,000 subscribers. That shit is epic as hell. Bye. Remember the height of quarantine when all we did was rot in our bedrooms trying to figure out which TikTok bedroom we'd all sleep in? Those were some good times. And if you think about it realistically, those months were probably miserable for most of us. My time in quarantine had me getting legitimately fat, but I speak for the majority when I say we'd all take that any day over being a member of society. I don't know if the cause of lockdown was the government plotting from the shadows, a viral leak from some scientific laboratory, or if it really was a Chinese dude eating a bat at the market like some dudes were saying. And I'm obviously not the most qualified person to speak on this because I'm a YouTuber, but man, what I can say is at this point, I'd be willing to sacrifice myself and personally fly all the way to China and eat a few bats of my own if that's what it really takes to bring back the good days. So let's go back 1 week prior to the COVID lockdown on that last day of school before spring break 2020. Lil Uzi had finally dropped Eternal a Take and everyone was listening with their AirPods in class, waiting for that sweet week off of school. During those days, there was some talk of the coronavirus, but nobody really took it too seriously at this point. We didn't think it was gonna spread over to the United States, and as students, we didn't really care. The only thing that we wanted to do was not go to school. So once school actually did get off, there wasn't a second of downtime before the gang all hopped on Fortnite with an entire week ahead of us to grind for the golden Ronaldo skin. Blissfully ignorant of what was to come. Now, personally, I had actually gotten myself into quite the peculiar situation during week 1 of spring break, because on the first day before any kind of lockdown was announced, I got on a bus and left. So when the lockdown was officially announced, I had to stay at the homie Tony's house for a whole week until I could catch a bus home, and that officially began the first week of lockdown. At this point, it wasn't really thought of as lockdown though. It was seen more like spring break 2, and once people got news of the spring break
quick extension, they went even deeper into the degenerate activity they were on. Dudes went from playing Fortnite all day to living in salty springs, from scrolling TikTok 8 hours at a time to becoming e-girls, from drinking all night to drinking all day. What I'm saying is that 2 weeks off from all responsibilities hit different and gave people way too much free time. This was also the time when social distancing first started to be enforced, but in the case of being bunkered down with Tony, social distancing wasn't really a possibility for us. We just played PS4 and drank smoothies all day, and it was probably the peak of my life. While the world was just starting to burn, me and Tony had an unlimited strawberry supply at his house for the infinite smoothie glitch. But that lifestyle would come to an end quickly. After the week passed, I had to say goodbye to my paradise with the homie Tony. It was time to get on home and have my first day of the lockdown lifestyle. By the time week 3 of lockdown rolled around was when people started to realize that this shit was real shit. Because public school had officially gone virtual at this point, and ain't nobody about to do all that. I was dodging these virtual assignments as if they didn't have real world consequences. I was just too deep in the Fortnite grind. I had to get the Ronaldo skin. It wasn't just me though. I don't know a single person who didn't just drop school altogether after attempting their first online assignment. But what really sealed the deal on dropping school was when I shaved my entire head bald, because there's no way I was about to show up in a Zoom call with my monkey looking head ass. So I just opted out of school to avoid the humiliation. This may just be my collective friend group I speak for here, but every guy I knew shaved their heads bald at this point. 3 weeks locked in the bedroom had us on the same mental stability as the Joker. We were all going insane. We saw this as our life's only chance to be bald without social repercussions. But crossing that 2-month line is when we all truly started to deteriorate as humans. There's no easy way for me to say this next part, but the lack of physical activity had me gaining some weight. And coupled with my new hairstyle, I was unfortunately fat and bald at 18 years old. My sleep schedule was just as bad as my haircut too. I was going to bed at sunrise and waking up at 3 p.m. like Batman. The amount of nights I'd try and pull an all-nighter in an attempt to save my circadian rhythms, only for it to completely backfire and make it worse, is beyond me. And just as my sleep schedule couldn't withstand 2 months of lockdown, my grades could not withstand 2 months of missed assignments. My report card was failing all across the board. But about this time was when the most historic moment of the lockdown happened. The school board started stressing that this year's grade point average was gonna be a 0.2 and had no choice but to pull the plug. So they officially announced that every assignment beyond lockdown didn't count towards final grades. I remember just how joyous this news was to me, and considering how everything else in life was falling apart, it hit different to hear some good news for a change. I guess you could partially thank me for not doing my assignments and saving all of America's GPAs collectively. So when the school year eventually ended around month 3, summer break made absolutely no difference on our lives. This is when the weeks really started to blend together and things got bad. That social isolation was really starting to get to me at this point. Spending every waking moment grinding my life away for Golden Peely was bad for my mental. It got to the point where I now have no memory of even my family during quarantine. I have no clue what the people in my own home were getting up to. The only change I made in my day-to-day was eventually switching from Fortnite to this game called Fishing Planet, and that was definitely a downgrade that reflected my mental state. At this point, I felt like I was really starting to fail as a human being. I don't know if anyone else would do this, but after staying indoors all day, I needed to get outside. So every few nights around midnight, I would just walk around dark and empty neighborhoods by myself. Those late night walks all alone through empty neighborhoods in an attempt to get outside started to hit deep. So I decided to get myself a job for the summer. So after doing a bit of searching, I eventually found a car wash that would take me. I worked there for a solid week or two before I just stopped showing up. I didn't last very long re-entering the real world. My time indoors had my mental discipline deteriorated, coupled with the fact fact that I was still fat. I was working outdoors in the Arizona summer sun, and the whole time I had to wear a mask, it just wasn't something I could do. The only thing that got me through those shifts was watching Avatar on my lunch breaks because Netflix had just added the show.
But Ninye, you only didn't enjoy quarantine because you spent your time poorly.
That is true. Most of us spent quarantine rotting and probably didn't do shit when we could have been out hustling. If I went back, I probably would have read a book or two. Get my intelligence up, you know? Maybe I wouldn't be so stupid if I did that. If there was a tier list for things to do in quarantine, gaming all night would probably be a C. Sleeping all day would probably be D tier because that never feels good. Eating terribly like I did would be an F because being unhealthy like Rick Ross like that is just a terrible feeling. And not exercising would probably also be an F because it's just gonna get me built like Rick Ross even quicker. But it is what it is. And now that I say it all out loud, I don't think I particularly miss the COVID lockdown. The next few months that followed weren't all that different from the last few that already weren't that great. It's like looking back on it, all the pain and misery just despawns from our memories, and all that remains is how we had nothing to do. It's easy to compare any kind of work we have to do now to the whole lot of nothing we had to do then and wish for it to come back, but that life is just not sustainable. And also millions of people died because of COVID, so that's also a downside to consider. Either way, that's the video. Subscribe. Bye. Studies show that men think about beating up on other dudes about 28 times daily. Thinking about it scientifically, this adds up to my everyday life. The situation of walking down the sidewalk when suddenly another dude starts walking down the same sidewalk in a conflicting fashion always has me thinking, shit, this dude's gotta be about 5'10" and 180 pounds from triangulating him from the distance of 20 meters away. But that's exactly 2 inches shorter than me. As he approaches, I'll quickly jab with my 2 extra inches of reach, immediately debilitating him on the ground. I'll kick his head to knock him unconscious, take his wallet, and walk away in a nonchalant fashion as if nothing happened. Then in reality, to just casually walk past the guy and do nothing as if this isn't how 100% of my human interactions in life have gone so far. It's like that same shit when a car drives past you at night and you imagine they're about to shoot you for no reason. It's natural instincts of violence. And an instinct of violence surely was the thing that befell my little friend group in the 7th grade. That's right, I got jumped when I was 12. It was a Friday afternoon and school had finally let off, and I was itching to let out my animal this weekend, so I hit up the boys. Except that I was 12 and I had the goddamn SpongeBob horn phone, so I needed my mom to text their moms and do all that slop. Soon enough though, the moms pulled through and I had 2 very classic buddies headed over to my house so I could let out my animal. My doorbell rings, I pitter-patter over and swing that shit open. Roman's standing right there with a suitcase. Bro really came prepared for any possible situation. I mean, damn, a suitcase? But we start messing around on YouTube.com a little bit because this second individual is taking a little longer to show up to my abode. His late arrival will actually domino effect into his downfall because as me and Roman browse, we come across a very funny boy yelling about Sonic, and we want to show our other friends so badly. But in no time, my door rings, we pitter-patter over to the door, swing that shit open, and standing there is none other than this little shit named Alex. Alex was a fucked up kid. He would bring boxes of Mountain Dew into class and down them as if he isn't drinking fucking Mountain Dew. If vapes were around when I was 12, he would most definitely be chiefing those johns like nobody's business. So this evil child arrives at my house, and instantly me and Roman are like, you gotta see this kid on YouTube, man. He's so funny. We watch a few videos, have a few laughs, until Alex gets a massive, sinister grin on his face and says, guys, I want to film a prank video. Which is never what you want to hear from Alex, but we didn't have enough wisdom to know that at the time. Alex specifically wanted to film a Sonic prank at the park gone wrong. And to a 12-year-old, that sounds like the most hype idea on the planet. I also just so happened to have a Sonic plush backpack in my garage as well. So we found the backpack, put it on Alex, and headed over to the park. As we got to the park, we had full view of an empty playground, empty swings, but we had perfect sight of our victims with 5 kids sitting on a park bench all together. So Alex takes out his iPhone to record the audio and voice memos, while Roman records the interaction on his Motorola. We honestly had no idea what Alex was about to do for his Sonic park at the prank gone wrong, but setting up the prank already had us laughing. So Alex actually starts to walk over to these kids, and as he approaches them, they all lock eyesight on him like hawks. Then Alex starts screaming the same nonsense the Sonic kid on YouTube said, like, like, "You guys ruined the Sonic franchise!" And the guys on the bench just look at each other like, the fuck is this kid talking about? So Alex keeps going on about this Sonic bit, and me and Roman are watching in awe. We cannot believe that he's actually seeing this through. A possible detail we may have forgot about pranks is that the camera is usually hidden and not 15 feet away in an open field. And I can't speak for this group of 5 children at the park, but I can assume an encounter with a screaming Sonic kid and 2 other kids recording from a distance may have been perceived as a disaster level threat to them. So these kids are like, "Fuck off, you damn nerds." But Alex holds his ground and keeps yapping, saying that was like their peace agreement, and since it was declined by Alex, they turned to violence. They sent out their smallest of the 5 to approach Alex like a little henchman being tasked to do dirty bidding. This kid jumps down from the park bench and a boss health bar appears as he runs to Alex. But Alex stood his ground once again. He said, "Nah, I'd win." Then almost immediately gets picked up by this kid and thrown onto the ground like boom. He's holding down Alex on the ground and bludgeoning his head repeatedly like, damn, was the Sonic kid really that much of a threat, dude? I had never experienced conflict in my life yet, so I hadn't truly realized he was experiencing blunt damage to his head. So I still watched in awe like Big Mouth Patrick. But at this point, Alex is completely out of character. He drops the prank entirely and starts fighting for his life. Now, we let a respectful 1v1 play out for a minute in this park without interference, but it didn't take long for us to realize that this fight is not fair. Roman runs in and pulls this kid off at Alex because he's got that dog in him while I'm still watching from a distance, until one of the kid's buddies starts walking over like, "Bro, don't interfere, bro." But then, bam, Roman hits him with a cheeky blow because Roman's got that dog with the Latino blood in his veins. All the while, bro is still committing to filming the prank. Roman has been holding the phone this whole time. So that kid backs off, we retrieve the battle-scarred Alex, and we're like, "We gotta get out of here, guys. This shit got real." Alex can't hardly walk, so we gotta help him home while these kids are yelling at us like, "You deserved that!
Bug off. That's why you're the strongest, little bro."
While we take the walk of shame home. But this altercation wasn't over. We couldn't end on a loss. As we got home, we laid down the punished Alex in bed to revive his strength. In Fortnite terms, we brought his reboot card to the reboot van. The 3 of us were experiencing complete rock bottom mentally and had to make moves to heal. Except for Alex, because he couldn't move. And what better way to get back at bullies than firearms? So Roman and I scour the garage for our most powerful Nerf guns and made the walk back. I don't know why the fuck we did Nerf guns because the bullets don't even hurt, but we make the journey back to the park strapped like a couple of honest working red-blooded blue-collar Americans. As we pull up, we start shooting this group of kids and it inflicts no damage to them and only causes the group to all charge at us. But what I didn't mention is that the Nerf guns were only a diversion to lure in the kids as we threw our secret carton of eggs at them. After a few failed eggs, we eventually hit one of the kids and he starts running away. 2 more of them realized we had those shits on us and decided to turn around with the other kid, leaving only 2 more kids approaching us. These little boys were sprinting to beat up on us and rapidly started to approach, so I decided to fall back, but Roman held his ground. I was like, "You need to fall back!" But Roman didn't listen because as the kids got right up to him, he flipped the Nerf gun around and hit one of them over the head with the goddamn handle of the shit. Like, damn, that kid got concussed, bro. Of course the other one retreated after that, and the 2 of us returned quickly home from war. We reported back to our fallen soldier and relayed the intel of our successful reconnaissance mission. And although through all the violence of that interaction, the most painful part of this day is that Roman started seriously stressing about hitting these kids on camera. I wanted him to upload the video so badly, but he decided to delete the prank we recorded because he didn't want his mom to find out what he did to these youngins. Since that whole event happened to me at the park, I was too afraid to go back there as a kid. I didn't want to one-man the park and end up with 5 little boys ending my life and stomping on my head and my vision becoming black for pranking them about Sonic. I guess the life lesson here is that if you give into your animalistic urges of violence, don't record them for an awesome YouTube prank, because there's a chance your mom might fuck, you know what, I'm just gonna use that take. Moonrocks, aka THC Megazord, is allegedly the most dangerous and powerful devil's lettuce crafting ingredient humans can possibly create with our current technology. Moonrocks are the frontier of all weed advancements, and that if smoked will change the way you view weed for the rest of your life. At least that's how some people were hyping these things up to me before I tried
inside them. So when I first heard about this, naturally the first thing I thought was, the fuck is a moon rock? And you'd think I would have found out after having smoked them, and I'm leading into an explanation, but to be honest, I still don't know. I mean, it's a little nugget, it looks like a rock, and it's really strong. That's all I know. Anyways, here's the story of the first time I smoked a moon rock. I was with my boys as per usual when the idea of moon rocks came up. None of us had actually ever done them before, so it would be all of our first times. But since it was our first times, we didn't have any. But for the most part, we're all big kids now, so a few of us drove down to the dispensary to pick some up. We walk in, ask the employees for moon rocks, and they didn't even know what we were talking about. How do you work at a dispensary and not know what the weed is? We left empty-handed and decided to take some Google searches to find out how to get these. After Google searching, can you get moon rocks at dispensary? We found out that they're actually extremely rare. Not just that, but they're actually illegal. Oh wait, that's talking about the shits from space. Never mind. We loaded up weed maps and found a dispensary that has them. Drove over there, and yeah. We get home, time to get high, baby. Let's go. The price for these things were really steep. It was like $80 a pop, but also the price only added to the group's collective curiosity. So me, Roman, Roderick, and Adam all gathered around this magic rock, marveling at its greatness. Damn, bro, it's beautiful. You really think this tiny rock can really be all that? I don't know, bro. I hear it's illegal. You can't have rocks from space like that, so it's gotta be strong. Roderick and Adam were already high going into this, so please pray for their souls. Cameron was also there, but as per usual, he didn't smoke, although he played the most important role in all of this, and that was giving me the information of what happened this night, because if not for him, I would have not remembered anything that happened to me to make this video. So we loaded up the thing, smoked the moon rocks, and almost instantly, you can feel that these things are strong. Off rip, each of us were feeling it quite adequately and splendiferously so. We did the usual goofing around and whatnot as you do when you're high. But all in all, the group was a little disappointed at this point. Yeah, we had a good high, but it wasn't quite the next level experience we were wanting. Considering the hype, we had expectations that this would change our lives and provide lifelong financial freedom or something like that. But little did we know, moon rocks actually have a secret ability that doesn't activate until 15 minutes after being smoked. The high of the moon rocks just kept getting higher and higher for us. After some time, we'd all think, damn, all right, this is actually getting somewhere. And then it would just keep going and going and going. The moon rocks had no plateau. And I guess that's the appeal of them. That's probably why they're called moon rocks, yeah? But anyways, after letting the moon rocks cook, we finally got it. Roderick and Adam being high beforehand definitely made them more zooted than anyone else, because Roderick became completely non-verbal and just lied on the floor, being completely still, while Adam was feeling the texture of the walls going, yo, it feels so real, it feels so good. These two were like the hollows from Dark Souls, dead spirits roaming shallow levels of the astral world, relentless and tormented, clinging on to the last remaining bits of their lives. Me and Roman, we were just really high. Now, what I'm about to say will probably be really controversial and could even possibly ruin my career. But in this heightened state, Roman did the impossible and convinced me that the Ohio meme was actually funny. You know how something that becomes unfunny gets life again by becoming ironic? Well, through that irony, I came full circle to the conclusion that Ohio is funny. He kept pointing and saying, Ohio weed. And I hated it at first. I thought it sucked. I did not think it was a funny joke at all. But by the time he got to his 20th Ohio weed, he eventually broke me. And then he stood over my body as I fell on the ground and said, I control you now, you're mine. Then proceeded to point at things and do the Ohio meme. In hindsight, I kinda don't think he's remotely funny to me at all, but there's something impressive about the fact that he could bring a day's worth of longevity back to this joke. As for me, I felt like my body was made of the sticky part of Velcro and everything else was whatever you call the other end of Velcro. I jumped on this bed and got completely stuck to it and couldn't get off. But I had a TV and an Xbox at my disposal, and from there, those two simple items brought me something I could only compare to an enlightening and spiritual experience. I queued up some classic Fortnite, went to the creative maps, and attempted to beat Fortnite only up. This collectively brought everyone together to watch me fall off of the first 3 boxes over and over. But every time I would get one more jump on my run, it was unreal. Everyone would pop off. The way they reacted to my gameplay gave me an evil little idea to do some trolling. Naturally, the group conglomerate gets munchies and all charge towards the kitchen, except for me and Cameron. I had to use all of my willpower to not follow them because I had hella munchies as well. But I turned to Cameron and whispered, "Bro, open YouTube for me. I want to see somebody beat this." So we brought up a video as the boys came back, and as they saw these beautiful and excellent jumps being performed before their very eyes, the boys couldn't help but weep. They watched in awe as they thought I was truly beating this whole thing, and I gained loads of respect. You can imagine that next, we all just started watching YouTube and go zombie mode. So all in all, moon rocks are good and really strong and make you go hollow. So if that's what you really want, I recommend. Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe. Bye. Dabs are an extremely potent method of smoking that I don't even mess with or really understand. You need this little thingy-mabobber, this doohickey, a tiny ivory ball that spins around, and a whole blowtorch. I tried to watch this tutorial to understand how it worked, but I ended up more confused than I came in. So I'm not gonna try and understand how this high-level Winterhold Skyrim sorcery works. That's for the high elves to know. The only thing I know is you use a blowtorch on THC oil, and that's crazy to me. So don't look to me for information. I never made it out of pre-calculus. I just tell the funny stories. So a few years ago, I found this rando at school because my little buddy Roman has a way of locating strangers and instantly befriending them. We could call this dude, Lois, ruler of the high elves. So Roman comes up to me and he's like, "Yo, I met this dude named Lois in my class. You want to come over to his house with me?" And I had never gone over to someone's house before meeting them, so I thought, yeah, that'd be funny. I'm down. So after school, we meet up at Lois's house and enter this nice, massive home. After we came through the door and met him, he mentioned that tonight was going to be an epic, no parents are home, we can do anything we want type of deal. So we popped off and he led us into his bedroom. As soon as we entered his room, it reeks and there's garbage everywhere. Bro's room was completely different from the rest of the house. He had clothes all over the ground and probably like food crumbs in his bed sheets. But the most bizarre thing he had was an open bag of coffee beans lying on the ground under his desk. I asked him, "Bro, why do you have an entire whole thing of coffee beans in your bedroom?" And he explained to me how when his parents make him go to bed at night, he likes to secretly stay up and game. But when he gets too tired, he swallows the beans whole with some water because he doesn't know how to use a coffee machine. And that was the first red flag that we were in the presence of an actual sociopath. And then he wasted no time to instantly pull out the entire dab rig. So you guys ever smoked dabs? And to be honest, neither of us really even knew what dabs were at this point, but we didn't say all that. We were just like, nah. And then this kid proceeded to pull out one of those wax weed pens and a syringe. He opened up the pen, extracting out the wax with the syringe and squirting it into the dab machine. And I feel like there's no way this can be good for you. You're definitely not supposed to use pen wax for dabs. I'm sure there's some chemicals in there that would make you grow a third arm and immediately see demons all around you. But this kid just goes straight for it. He was clearly a pro at this. And then he hands it over to the two of us like it's just implied that this is normal and we'd smoke this dude's mulch weed. Either way, we did do it because we succumbed to the peer pressure that accompanied that silence. But the thing about dabs is that they hit extremely hard. So as we smoked this, me and Roman ended up getting way higher than we anticipated, way faster than we had ever been at this point. Without even a word spoken, as if this was just an average day for Lois, he started queuing up League of Legends on his laptop. That was the second red flag that we got from this kid. League of Legends has like 40-minute long games, and I wasn't about to watch this kid that I don't even know play a game I hardly know for 40 minutes while high off my first dab hit. But then he has the audacity to ask the two of us to get him a glass of water since he was getting into a game. And to this day, I literally cannot wrap my head around the situation that we had gotten ourselves into. We go to this random kid's house we don't even know, smoke
smoke his suspicious weed, and then he ignores us. And the fact that he's so casual about the whole situation makes me think that he's done this to other victims, and every time his parents go out, he just picks a new kid from school to do his biddings. So me and Roman go down to this dude's really nice kitchen and start eating all of his food while plotting and preying on his downfall. In one hand, we had a really cool house to stay in, and we could just eat all of their expensive snacks with no real repercussions. On the other, we'd have to spend the night with this strange elf person that kind of seems like he's using us. In the end, we decided to troop it out for the night because, to be honest, if we were to leave, we probably couldn't find our way home in the current state we were in. We brought up this dude's little YY drinky in the sippy cup and tried to make some kind of conversation with him just to see if he was going to do anything else but play League. But the way he was glued to this game, we kind of realized that this was all he was going to do. So we just walked out of the room and started exploring and pillaging all around this dude's massive house. I mean, it's not very often that you get to go through a stranger's house with no supervision and off a dab hit. And let me tell you, this exploration felt otherworldly because of it. The house could have felt way bigger than it was because we were high, but going through the hallways, the rooms just felt endless. The amount of bedrooms were ungodly in this house, and it took all of me and Roman's collective willpower to not steal their belongings. It was like getting into the loot vault in Fortnite and resisting the urge to take a golden scar. We eventually found what seemed like a family computer room, so we decided to set up camp there. We migrated back to the kitchen to get our yummy snacks and came back with a massive load of epic foods. We kind of just played random games on this dude's computer for a few hours, and the whole time this kid did not come looking for us. We set an hourly alarm to routinely check on the kid just to see what was going on with him, but he was literally just playing League all night. Multiple hours passed of this, and it got to the point where we entered ungodly hours of the night and we just wanted to go to bed. But this dude was completely unwavering in the face of the tiredness. He was gaming all night. This went on for so long, we just started to theorize this kid forgot we were in his house. But we didn't want to go to bed because it felt weird to just sleep in a stranger's bed. So we conducted a plan to sneak out of the dude's house undetected. We called our friend Adam to pick us up a few blocks down from the house, and on our way out, we stole a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos and tactically shut the front door behind us very sneakily and quietly. We got out of the house, and the next day at school, the kid didn't even mention anything or talk to us, and it was almost like he didn't even know the whole thing happened. Ever since then, I haven't smoked dabs because it was a weird experience, but anyways, subscribe.